Well, folks, we're there. 400 out of 1,000, not bad for a 24-hour period. Worked all day. I'm going to continue on. We got to get to the 1,000. I would have liked that by Monday, but it's okay. We're just going to keep pounding pavement. I'm going to go through the UNSC on Sunday in an X space. I'm going to get into great detail about it. Lots of talking. So be there tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard. And we're going to run through a lot of it and where this can go, enforcing David Eby to make a public apology. But in other news today, Pierre Poilievre radically wins his leadership review. And for folks who don't know, or you should know by now, Alberta's a large piece of the CPC nationally. Obviously, the Conservative movement in Canada to begin with, as well as Saskatchewan. They stay pretty faithful and tight to that in a mega majority. But of Albertans, 67.5% support Pierre Poilievre. That's detrimental to Alberta independence, as you won't find many Liberals, no NDP. A lot of the left won't do it because they know what equalization means to socialism in Canada, and they just won't ever go for it, right? Take somebody else's money to feed a poorer class that they all create while they walk away rich. That's the socialists. It's always been that way in Canada. Whigs and Tories. And, you know, when you look at Stephen Harper, okay, everybody, he won the Conservative Leadership Review in 2011, went on to run the country till 2015, losing to Justin Trudeau. And those Conservatives then, still in majority, went for him, even with the roots of separatism really high in Alberta then. May not have been a party, but the building blocks were certainly there. People were certainly upset. And I just laugh that, you know, not laugh, that's probably not the right thing to say, but I don't even know the word for it. I just, the institutionalization of the Whig and the Tory subjects of Canada, who just can't break away from government is your whole life. And if you just elect the right government official with zero accountability, somehow that formula is going to eventually work out, even though it's never worked out in 150 years. In fact, Canada's been going down in decline steadily, really since the 60s. And a lot of that has to do with USA's momentum, where USA chose to go and where Canadians refused to go. And that's just really sad. At least the Canadian politicians and Canadians think that somehow all the good things they got since World War II were direct results of their Liberal or Conservative governments, like 1982. It was all just fluff. More con jobs, more, hey, look at us, we're a lot like America, but even better. But realistically, we can take all of these rights we supposedly promise you away with any Privy Cabinet or Council, because really, premiers have their escape clause on anything, and so does the Prime Minister. And if it going gets really rough and they need to suppress the population from their rights, they just do an emergency or a former War Measures Act. Now they call it Emergencies Act, even though it was supposed to only ever be for war. But again, parliamentarians never designed that. They had an original act based on war. And what did the Privy Council do? Change it at whim. Prime Minister and his appointed cabinet, by the grace of Crown, Governor General. And they do that all the time. We do not live in a functioning democracy. It's an illusion of democracy. And Americans across the spectrum, highest ranking legal scholars, did a paper, completed a paper 4 years ago. I was blessed to be a small portion of that, to be at least invited into that talk. and it was over what Canada is. And Canada is an electoral autocracy. All Democrats know it, all Republicans know it. By their highest scholars recorded living today in America, after all their great works, all their research, they've come up with the truth of Canada. It is an electoral autocracy. You elect a dictator. There's nothing outside of that that's democratic. You get to choose which dictator you're going to get. And I hate to say it, too many Albertans in a massive conservative majority support Pierre Poilievre, support his statement on video, and they will. It's just elect the right dictator, exploit Alberta's resources to China against the United States. Don't worry, it's all going to work out. We're going to teach America a lesson. Good luck with that, Democrat or Republican. Because if you think it all ends with Donald J. Trump's completion of his current presidential term, you're sadly mistaken. Democrats are going forward with it, and all the next incumbents to become president of the United States under Republicans are going to be going forward with that. That's truth. And I don't want to live through the reality of that. I don't want my children to live through that reality of so many foolish, institutionalized Canadians. So the best foot forward right now today is, yes, still Canada, the 51st state. I'm not stopping that, but it's putting people into place like David Eby and Mark Carney and finishing our petition. That is numero uno one. People have to find their courage. I'll continue if it takes all of next week. Tomorrow's going to be good with X. We're going to get a lot. I've been asked by YouTubers from my YouTube channel, hey man, I'm from YouTube, man. I just got lucky because a friend of mine told me, but I follow you on YouTube, so you should at least try to get those 1,400 folks too. So I will. That'll be a YouTube video I complete tomorrow. Hopefully I can do that before the X space and get that out on YouTube for people to share and bring in more people. There's also folks I have on email from past drives. I'm going to hit a lot of them because when I look at the names on this petition, yeah, there's a lot of people from the first one, but less than half the 400 I have. So I'm going to go back through those names of my earlier petitions and see about them. I'm also going to do for the First Nations an expose on what it is to be an American Indian in social programs for American Indians versus Canada's system. Because there's a whole bunch of, I didn't know that, and people need to know that. They need to know that, especially the First Nations, which I urge, like Canada's separatists and us 51st staters who've gone to Washington, D.C., I urge all First Nation bands in Canada, and I will be doing a pretty big presentation a little bit down the road, but that's going to be high on my list to get that done ASAP for First Nations. So they have a plan forward too, that you are protected under that UN convention too. You have political and civil rights, even though the Canadian government restricts that from you entirely. It's illegal. That is actually the worst human rights violation Canada's currently doing. Well, at least one of them with the First Peoples. That's a huge one. And it's time to awaken the American government on that. But more importantly, awaken American First Peoples, all of them, unceded, ceded, named, numbered, Inuit and Métis, all of them. And let them explore these truths. They should know all of these truths. Weigh it out and say, hey, wait a minute. That's a way better deal than we're getting in Canada. We're getting screwed, as are all the Canadian subjects. That's how it works in Canada. Sick, depraved, and gross. And they're at their wits' end. They're scared, the elite class, and they're resorting to violence now. First Nations know in history all about the Crown's violence against them. But realistically now, it's being put on so many Canadian subjects for the first time in a very, very long time. in Canadian history, especially around the separatists, and yes, us 51st staters. But we all got to band together. We got to get this done. So God bless everybody. I'm very proud of the turnout so far. I want more. There should be a lot more just from our Canada 51st state page. I'm not ignorant to over 1,500 people on any given second tuning into the page. It's my page. I get all the stats at real time. So that's a little upsetting to me that we don't have more on this. But anyways, I'm just going to have to keep pounding the pavement. I'm going to have to make specific posts in the Canada 51st state page and get these people into action, because talk is cheap. And like I said, with CPC now and Albertan conservatives that claim whatever, and Daniel Smith 1 million, wow, that leadership review shows the opposite. Clearly, in a massive majority, that really corrupts the numbers. Oh yeah, I would like to succeed from Canada, but I don't know if I should vote for that. I better stick with Pierre Poilievre. That's the safe bet. I got to give him a chance. That's a huge problem, right? God bless everybody. That's my video. Share, get it out there. Bye for now. I'm going to go watch a hockey game tonight. I'm going to take a nice, easy night, Owen Sound. I'll go look at some juniors hockey, a farm team as well. Why not, right? I love hockey. When in Rome, right? It's the only thing I can do around here, so bye now.